Contract law in ancient Persia. Contract law in ancient Persia, under the Achaemenid Empire, circa 550 to 330 before Common Era, and subsequent dynasties, was an integral part of its administrative and economic systems, reflecting the empire's complexity and the importance of trade and bureaucracy. While specific details about contract law per se are less documented compared to other ancient civilizations like Rome or India, evidence from historical records, including the administrative archives found at Persepolis, provides insight into how contracts and legal agreements were managed in ancient Persia. Administrative and economic organization. The Achaemenid Empire, known for its efficient administrative system and the use of a standardized system of weights and measures, facilitated trade across its vast territories. This required a sophisticated system to govern transactions, labor agreements, and land management. Clay tablets and documentation. The discovery of clay tablets in Persepolis reveals a highly organized bureaucratic system. These tablets, many of which served as records of transactions and agreements, indicate that the Persians used written documents to formalize various types of contracts, including those related to supply and labor. The tablets recorded detailed accounts of daily rations given to workers, agreements on land, and transactions involving goods, showcasing an advanced level of record-keeping and an early form of contractual documentation. Legal principles and enforcement. While the detailed legal principles governing contracts in ancient Persia are not as well documented as in Roman or Hindu law, it is clear that the empire had mechanisms for enforcing agreements and managing disputes. The king and his officials played a central role in this system, with the king often seen as the ultimate judicial authority. Centralized authority. The king's role was central in the enforcement of laws and contracts, with provincial governors and local officials acting on his behalf to resolve disputes and ensure the terms of agreements were met. Use of witnesses and seals. Similar to other ancient cultures, contracts in ancient Persia were often validated by witnesses and sealed, a practice that lent authenticity to the documents and facilitated their enforcement. Influence of Zoroastrianism. The religious and ethical system of Zoroastrianism, which was prominent in ancient Persia, likely influenced the principles underlying contract law and economic transactions. Zoroastrian ethics, emphasizing truthfulness, honesty, and the fulfillment of promises, would have been reflected in the conduct expected in contractual agreements. Trade and diplomacy. Ancient Persia's extensive trade networks and diplomatic relations with other states necessitated a form of contract law that could accommodate international transactions. This involved agreements with other nations and peoples, indicating a level of diplomatic and commercial sophistication that required legal underpinnings to ensure trust and cooperation across cultural and linguistic boundaries. While specific details of contract law in ancient Persia are less explicit than in some other ancient legal systems, evidence suggests a sophisticated administrative and legal framework supporting economic activities, trade, and labor management. The use of written records, the central role of the king and officials in enforcing agreements, and the influence of Zoroastrian ethical principles all contributed to a system that facilitated the empire's economic prosperity and administrative efficiency. The legacy of ancient Persian contract law underscores the importance of legal systems in supporting the complexities of governance and commerce in ancient civilizations.